Well, looks like Pokemon Pocket's been busy this morning. Not only did they drop a trailer about the new A2 expansion pack, but they also gave us some more information about a ton of other stuff that's coming to the game pretty soon. So let's just get straight into it. Let's talk about everything we know about Space-Time Smackdown. But before that, we got some information about trading. We now got a set date for trading, which is going to be Tuesday, January 28th. Now, while we don't know 100% how trading is going to work yet, we did get some new information about the currencies that we're going to use to trade in the game. And it looks like it's going to be two different types. One is going to be related to lowering the time, kind of like the hourglasses that we got now for the packs, and the other will be related to the rarity of the card. Word on the block, the more information they put out about trading, the more people are hating it. They do not like what's going on with trading. And I kind of get it because it does look a little bit complicated. The way I think this is going to end up working is I think it's going to be like Wonder Trades, where you have a way to put up a card that you're willing to trade and you just go through people's other cards and see if they're willing to trade for your card that you got up there. It is kind of weird, I'm going to have to admit, but I mean, I think once we get into game and actually play around with it, that's when we'll 100% know, is it a hit or is it a miss? Right now, it's still up in the air. It does feel like it could be a lot more simpler, but that's what we're working with for the time being. All right, time to talk about Space-Time Smackdown, which I love the name. I love the name. A big wrestling fan, so that's right up my alley. It's going to be available Wednesday, January 29th, so the day after trading gets released. That's kind of why I did that one first. There's only going to be 2 packs this time around, Dialga and Palkia. This is kind of cool. I like this better than the 3 because it does make it easier to get the cards that you need. I am still struggling to get some of the bigger cards that I need from like the original Genetic Apex pack. Cards like Executor EX and Blastoise EX, it's just like I've been trying to go through them and get them. For the longest time, I couldn't even find a 2 Moltres EX. And speaking of getting the cards you need a lot easier, let's go ahead and talk about the cards we know are coming out so far, based on the trailer and a couple of other places that have been posting behind the scenes information. Starting with the poster kids themselves, Dialga and Palkia. Now these look super cool, the art is amazing. One of these are definitely better than the other. So let's start with Dialga. This is the card that I think is gonna change the meta. This thing right here is crazy, especially because of Metallic Turbo. Heavy Impact we already know from Metal, and this is actually a weaker version of Metal's Heavy Impact, but Metallic Turbo, take 2 Metal Energy from your Energy Zone and attach it to one of your bench Pokemon. Notice that it doesn't say one of your Metal type bench Pokemon, it just says one of your bench Pokemon. That is gonna make some crazy decks. I can't wait to experiment with this card. It is going to be the reason why I go after the Dialga packs first. We already know from the Gardevoir line that anything that could generate energy is pretty strong, especially a move that can generate energy and do damage on top of it. But I think this is exactly what Metal type decks needed. They needed some type of love because they have been out here struggling. I think Dialga is going to be perfect for this. But not only this, I think we're going to see some real creative decks, maybe creative Pidgeot EX decks or other colorless decks that are going to be running cheeky little Dialgas in there. Palkia is a little less interesting. Discard 3 water energies from this Pokemon. This attack also does 20 damage to each of your opponent bench Pokemon. So it's a little bit of a stronger Blizzard, but you're blowing all of your energy. 3 of them have to be water energies, so you're stuck to a water deck for this one. But 3 energy is not easy to get. To be honest with you, I don't know why you would run this over Gyarados. Gyarados has more HP, it does do 10 less damage, but at the same time, you only have to give up 1 energy, and that is if it goes to you. It's possible that it gives up the energy from any other place with Gyarados, so it doesn't necessarily give up the energy for Gyarados. Honestly, this just feels like a worse version of Gyarados, but a basic version of it, so I guess you don't have to go through all of the finding Magikarp and making it into a Gyarados. But to be honest with you, I don't think that's the worst part of Gyarados. Yeah, it does leave you vulnerable to like stuff like Hitmonlee and stuff like that, but I mean, I don't know. I don't know if Palkia EX is going to be getting too much play, but I could be wrong. Depending on what we get with the other Mons and everything like that, Palkia might work perfectly with something else. We don't know yet. Now let's get into this beautiful full art Lucario card. And I know some of you are like, that wasn't in the trailer. Where'd you get this from? Now you're putting in fake concept cards into... Hold on. This was revealed on Cerebi, and for the most part, it looks like it's legit. It's been posted all over the internet. This thing is gonna bring fighting decks to a whole new level. Now, its attack doesn't really matter. Submarine Blow, 2 energies for 40 damage. That is not why you use this card. You use it for its ability, Fighting Coach. Attacks by your fighting Pokemon do plus 20 damage to your opponent's active Pokemon. So that means that is a huge buff for a lot of mons. Now, this doesn't power up certain things. I know a lot of us love Hitmonlee, but notice that it does say to your opponent's active Pokemon. So Hitmonlee will not be something that Lucario can use. It also means, of course, too, we're getting Riolu. You do see it in the little stage 1 box over there. Up next, let's talk about the best trio, the best starter trio. Yes, I am saying it, and I mean it. Turtwig, Chimchar, and Piplup. Now, of course, I know this means we're going to be seeing an EX version of Torterra, Infernape, and Empoleon. They just keeping it in behind the scenes, you know, they need something for us to get excited about once we start opening these packs. But there's nothing too crazy about these cards. Of course, we're keeping up the grass type starter disrespect of needing 2 energies to get started. The Piplup line might be more of a tanky line because it looks like it has a healing move, Nap. I think this is one of the few mons, if there's any other mons, that just does healing to itself, and that's all it does. So I'm excited to see where that goes. Piplup is basically family here. So, I mean, we're definitely going to be running some type of Empoleon deck. I definitely got to try to make that work. And speaking of EXs, let's go ahead and talk about the world champ, Pachirisu EX. Now, the card itself, I'll be honest, I don't think it's gonna get too much play. I don't really know how much it really offers to electric decks, but it does give us some indication about the game going forward. It says if this Pokemon has a Pokemon tool attached, this attack does 40 more damage. Now, this is just a worse electric version of Starmie EX, but it does mean that Pokemon Pocket is now introducing tools. Now, if you're not familiar with tools, I wasn't either because I never played the original TCG. Tools are one of the 4 main trainer type cards alongside items, supporters, and stadium cards, which we also haven't seen yet. You can equip the tool to any Pokemon, and once it's equipped, it can't come off. Most of the times they have some cool effects that add on to it, like it does more damage if this is happening, or something along those lines. Most of the times it's something like that. I can't wait to see what kind of tools we get and then see how it affects some of these past decks. One of the coolest things about these new expansion packs is the stuff that we can do with the stuff we already got to make certain decks maybe even more broken or completely broken now that completely sucked before. That's the best part about this stuff. I'm super excited for tools. Can't wait to see what we get. We also got a new evolution. We got Leafeon, and it does 90 damage, but its effect is during your next turn, this Pokemon can't attack. So it's also a worse grass version of Starmie EX. I mean, honestly, this is okay because it's not actually an EX. You could just go ahead and run it for a cheeky little bit of extra damage on a grass deck, but I mean, to be honest with you, I don't know if it's really worth it. I mean, if you were gonna do something like this, you might as well run Delmise, because you can do 90 damage with Delmise without having to go through all that rigmarole of waiting for another Pokemon. But some people like to run Eevee. Oh my god, I played against a crazy Eevee deck where it just kept flipping heads non-stop, and it literally killed my I lost to an Eevee. Everything I put out there just died to the Eevee. So I know that there are some people that love their Eevee. So for them, hey, more power to you. Up next is Honchkrow, which of course confirms that we're going to be getting Murkrow as well. And it has a real simple move. This attack does 50 damage to one of your opponent's Pokemon. It's going to be one of those that you can hit the back line with. This will be kind of cool, but I've been trying to think what dark deck this could work well with. I guess maybe some form of Weezing. Maybe you do like tank Weezing, poison it, get it down low, and then you have the Honchkrow attack things in the back. But I don't really know how much this is going to add to dark decks. Hopefully there's some other dark mons that get added to this set, and then maybe that will pair well with Honchkrow here. Another thing to note about Honchkrow, apparently in the Japanese version of this trailer, it only needs 1 energy to retreat, not 2. Now they have done this before, like for example with Greninja, where it used to do 30 damage instead of 20 damage, and then of course when we got it in game it was 20. So who knows what it's gonna actually be at the end of the day, just something to keep in mind. Up next is everybody's favorite champion, Cynthia. Now Cynthia actually lets us know about 2 more mons that we can expect to see in the future, Garchomp and Togekiss. Now we already knew about Garchomp because we've already seen this version of Gible that shows up later in the video. But this card just says, during this turn, attacks used by your Garchomp or Togekiss do plus 50 damage to your opponent's active Pokemon. This is why everybody was so afraid of Cynthia, because her mons hit hard. It actually makes it interesting because I think that means that Garchomp's initial attack and Togekiss' initial attack can't do that much damage, otherwise this is gonna be massive. It got me speculating, and I think I actually know what Garchomp's move and Togekiss' move is gonna be. Now we know for Gible, he gets Gnaw. It looks like it'll probably do like 10 or 20 damage. I think Garchomp's move is gonna be Dual Chop and do 50 to 60 damage for each heads. And then on top of that, then you'll get that extra 50 damage from Cynthia, so it could do up to like maybe 170 damage if you do like 60 apiece. That's not too crazy, especially for a Garchomp. Togekiss, I think her move is gonna be draining kits, and it'll probably work like Kabutop's Leech Life, and it'll probably do like maybe 30 to 40 damage, and then you go ahead and you add the extra 50 damage to it, and you could possibly heal for 90 damage. That'll be crazy, but of course that's all speculation, but I think it's pretty close. Another thing that could be interesting about Togekiss is that there is one type that is still missing from Pokemon Pocket, Fairy. And Togekiss is a Fairy type, so we might get some Fairy representation there, but I would say if they were gonna introduce Fairy, I think they would have announced it or showed it by now and make it a big selling point. So I wouldn't be surprised to see it as like a colorless mon or maybe psychic or something along those lines, but who knows, we might see Fairy. And the last mon here that we know about is Cresselia. It's a basic legendary non-EX, and it does Moonlight Gang, which does 50 damage, and it heals 20 damage from this Pokemon. Nothing special, it's almost like a worse version of Florges, but it is a basic, so I definitely might want to try it out in the Mutility deck. Maybe that means we'll get Darkrai too, and it'll help bolster up those dark types because to be honest, they need something. They need anything right now. That being said, this is everything that we know so far about Space Time Smackdown. What do you think? Are you excited for the new set? What mons from Gen 4 do you want to see come out? And then even what mons outside of Gen 4 do you want to see? Let me know in the comment section below. If you like it, then like it and subscribe for more. I am out of here. My name was Kato. Yo, Poke homie, baby. Peace, love, later.